this has been long awaited. I joined the club, oh goodness, what, must be 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Before I start, show of hands, who knows what this is? And are you dead sure?
Hi, Alma.
Alright, so... No. Good one. Alright, so this is something a little bit special. I have a KL1 KL1B1 and a B2, and this is my baby. It's kitted out with some lovely things that you'd find on a K1R. These bikes, they're quite interesting. They came out as world record holders in the late 80s, and arguably they still hold that record today. Fastest motorcycle in its class, 250cc. So with that, when you usually think of high performers or sports stars, they often come with quite a bit of attitude. And this certainly has had a lot of that. It probably drinks a lot more than what your bikes drink. It smokes, quite possibly more than most others. And it's also challenged the law. It was rejected from going to the US. It made it into the South African market, actually made it into the Australian market. It failed on ADR compliance, it was too loud. In Australia, they managed to squeeze it past legalities by changing sprocket ratios. So they had a smaller sprocket on the back, bigger one on the front, and that at the legal speed limits, it lowered the exhaust sounds. As a child, this is something that I could only ever have dreamt of. In South Africa, my father and I, we used to renovate motorcycles, and these bikes were plastered all over my wall. I had drawings of them. I had a really fond attachment to them, just through the thought of wishing to have something like this. So I guess naturally, when I saw one come up for sale, I jumped at the opportunity. And this came with all of the bad traits. It had been purchased by a guy in Sydney. His son stole the key and ended up getting clocked for doing 200 in the 60 zone. And it didn't end there, because there was some bad mouthing that he did to the police, and it devastated the owner that much that the keys got thrown away, the bike got pushed on the side of the house, and for about 20 years it sat and just became the thing that I ended up getting my hands on, which was an absolute wreck, and it had quite a lot of damage to it. The motor, when I pulled it apart, you pretty much could have had goldfish in for the amount of water that came out of it. So, the good old rust bucket. It's interesting, I actually started off, I paid someone by recommendation of the president of VJMC to rebuild the motor. And that was a complete disaster. When it gets to the point, Mick Yevery's been through half this journey with me. It's taken 8 years to get it to this point. The motor, when we put it in, there was so much wrong with it. The head gaskets were put upside down so the kit's valves wouldn't turn. The inner clutch case had all the new gaskets that I purchased and personally sent through to the builder. They were damaged, and Mick actually picked up that they had repaired it and did a bad job of that. And then it got to the point where we managed to fire it up, and my God, it was like a steam train. Despite the fact of paying for a brand new complete crank overhaul, what they skipped was the inner cranks get sealed. And because this thing has a racing gearbox, the seals in the center of the crank separate the transmission oil from the engine oil. So I think within about half an hour we probably put about a litre of oil out the back exhaust and couldn't see each other. What's this thing done for me? You know, I had an absolute love-hate relationship with this bike. It really has tested me in every which way. Looking at it, it's brought me relationships that I would never have had. Without the thought of having a club bike, I would never have met Phil. Without meeting Phil, I would never have been introduced to Mick. The relationship that I've built over these years with Mick is something unbelievable, phenomenal, in fact. It's a relationship that I probably would never have had the opportunity of having without this bike. So it's something else that the bike has brought me that goes far beyond any money that it could be worth. Amongst testing my skills, testing my patience, my perseverance, it's really brought me to a great place, and given me an opportunity to meet wonderful people, being here. And I guess just in closing, just thanks. My partner Shane, she's a super busy woman. She's come out to see me tonight. I have to make mention of her because through the journey of 8 years of ordering parts, they've always gone through to her practice, and she's been kind enough to bring motorcycle parts home. And I appreciate that in every way. She's also, when we lived in Melbourne, we had quite a small epoxy place, and she put up with me washing engines in a European laundry, tearing motorcycles apart in the living room in front of the TV. So, without your support, again, it's something I wouldn't have had here. Mick. Mick Albury, where can I even start? I got halfway, and when Mick came along, it was just like a breath of fresh air. I found a lot of struggle getting up to the point that I did on my own. I had lost my father when I was when I was in my final year of studying mechanical engineering. And this is something that we used to love doing together, and having had Mick with me through the journey has filled a massive void. And we've had some great laughs along the way. And just a couple of other mentions. John and Paul Bullock, just in light of the testing that this has done to everyone, you guys have had your fair share. John beat the crank into submission with the hammer of Thor, and he said there was no easy feat. But he said I'm not allowed to go back to him with one of these. But I appreciated everything that he did. He kept his word and did exactly what he said he would do. The bike kicks over the first time. So I know it's not here, but I'd like you to pass on that message. Doug Flack's not here. He's helped with a collar and the suspension on the Wilbur's rear shock. And also he's done the job of scrutinizing the bike to get it onto club plates. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys have enjoyed having a look at my KR1 SE.
Any questions?
You'll have to wait and see.
Let's start her up.
How fast does it go, mate?
I can tell you now it goes over 200.
That's all right, isn't it?
What's the compression at the moment?
It's a 250. It's a 250cc.
What was the book speed when they came out? What did they say they could do?
It's in dispute, and the bikes that got released in different countries, there's actually loads of different variations in the size and in the exhausts that they put on the bikes. So the B1s, B2s naturally had a 28mm carb, the KR1S had a 32mm carb, and the KR1R had a 35mm carb. There's also some very rare New Zealand SP bikes, and there were only 10 of those made. The New Zealanders, damn them, got them all.
What was the top speed then? When they come, like, for the good ones?
I don't know, probably 215. Yeah. And a lot of these bikes, another reason you don't see many of these machines is as soon as they came out, a lot of them were snapped up for the track. They did exactly what they were made to do. Anton Mung, many years ago, used to race the KR250s, and a lot of the DNA sort of moved through, and was the reason that they ended up making these things. Oh, sorry, well, a few more things. Metal Gear have been really good to me with rotors. I've brought some merchandise. Feel free to grab some decals and some pamphlets if you guys need rotors, discs for your bike. Also, I've got a bit of a write-up on the bike and a bit of data on just the standard B2 series KR1 if anyone's interested. Thank you.